Good morning from sunny Buffalo. I'm Mike Shope. Thanks for being with us, ADP Chasing. A lot has happened in our heroes' worlds since we last convened a week ago. Jacob has kicked off, I believe the number was 63 rookie drafts. We'll find out if that's a real number. It's amazing. He also called it his favorite time of the year, and that's not only because he can probably smell the Stanley Cup out there in Western Canada. The Leafs up 1-0 in round 2. Davis has created the slap kick, slappy.org.gov. I don't know, whatever that is. That's got his, 250 and counting best ball drafts in the bank already, pushing out rankings and articles and raising an infant. We're told we can hear a child talking and, crying in the background. We've never met her. Welcome to the show. Some call Legendary Upside, only with Mike Shope on it. ADP Chasing May 6th, 2025.
In Underdog Best Ball, ADP is set by two separate yet equally important groups: streamers that set the market and the slappies that chase it. These are their stories.
You guys can't say I don't consume your content.
True.
That's true. Yeah.
I've
never although
more consumed.
The people have met Vivian many times, so you're not consuming at all. You're not a completionist, clearly.
Have they?
Yeah.
All right. I missed those plural episodes.
There's times where it's where I've got to. Brittany can't take care of her for a second, so I'm like, all right, you're coming on stream.
I know that was it last Friday, whatever day it was last week on your pod, that you were almost driven to drink a morning beer based on the conversation the others were having. My question is, I mean, this has probably happened. Davis is not a drinker. I don't know about Jacob, but maybe Pat, you wake up the next morning, maybe it's a Saturday morning, and there's a beer, or I'm more of wine/cocktails. There's a drink that's still not fully consumed from the night before on the table. And what do you do with it? Are you guys dump it or down it?
It depends on the scenario. If I'm safely in the privacy of my own home, that's gonna be a dump. If it's a brown liquor situation, if that's whiskey, if that's scotch, I think honestly, I'm probably pouring that back into the bottle. It's just great. It's just neat. I can salvage that.
I didn't expect that.
Subscribe to Thinking About Thinking so Jacob doesn't have to recycle brown liquor anymore.
Yeah.
I did not have pour it back into the bottle as an
on the rock.
No.
On the rocks, no. But neat, you can absolutely make it work. If you're having weekend with the boys, you just got to drink it. You're just getting started.
Sure, that's a different situation. If you're what was the plan for that day? Is the plan to go back out? Were you about to do some day drinking? Okay.
36 holes.
By and large, I've never been a big hair of the dog guy, which I feel like it works, right? But it's just, there's something about it when you wake up and you're the pain that I'm feeling is caused by that. I'm not putting it in me.
I never thought about pouring it back in. Sometimes, you might hide it in a section of the house where, I'm saving that for later, or, taking it to the golf course, of course, is a move.
That feels more logical than pouring it back in the bottle and contaminating.
What are you taking it in? The
sample?
Cup that you're just walking around with the glass?
Just put it, put it where, it belongs. Put it where it belongs.
Sometimes I'll have 2 Diet Cokes with dinner instead of 1. And I won't finish the second one. That just goes in the refrigerator. I'll drink it the next.
Wait, that's carbonated. You drinking flat Diet Coke the next day?
Gross.
It's gross.
My.
That's grosser than what Jacob said.
Waste not, want not.
That's how I was raised.
Waste half of
there are only
flat
Diet
Coke is a waste. That's a waste of your time.
Horrid.
That's
only just the cost fallacy.
Yeah, dude.
It's not sunk. I'm fine with it. My body. My body craves
that is
Diet
the
Coke.
still drafting Kyle Pitts in 2025 of drinking.
And I'm still doing that too. I'm all the way back in. Zach Robinson said, other than the fact that he needs to work on his speed, his attention to detail, his knowledge of the playbook, his relationship with the quarterback, we are expecting a breakout season from Kyle Pitts. That's me with the flat Diet Coke 14 hours later.
Your Diet Coke is an 11th round pick. It's a $2, 2-liter. Jacob's Glenlivet is a $60 bottle. Of course, he's not going to just throw it out. So, that's a first round pick. You got to put that somewhere.
Here's what you guys are not understanding. My wife mostly does the grocery shopping. I would say like 80-20. She's kind of in charge of it. And she does not buy soda at all. No Diet Coke.
Okay. So this is like a treat.
So it's not, maybe not so a treat, but it's like if I run out, I'm going to be out for a week because I'm not going to go to the store just for Diet
run
Coke.
out. The bubbles are it's not the Coke anymore once the bubbles are gone. It's just a syrup with chemicals in it.
It's just aspartame, really. It's just brown. It's just brown aspartame. I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm just telling you that does happen.
How do you consume it? Like, are you just pop it in the morning and like a cup of coffee you're drinking, or are you drinking?
No, I'll have it like when I come up for my chicken and rice. For like, if I had one in the fridge after this,
I see.
After we do this Woolcast, I'd go up and I'd go microwave my dinner, put my dinner, or my lunch or whatever, and just I got 3 or 4 sips there. Great lunch.
Here for sips of flat Diet Coke. It's so good.
I'd like to, the risk was standing, but have a sort of a duel between Jaydon drinking or Pat drinking that flat Diet Coke from the day before versus Davis drinking the scotch, and like whose face more contorted while doing so. Just like the face I would have to make drinking that quote pop.
Pat, remove the scrolling bar.
Yeah,
best ball breakfast.
You don't think I'm trying, brother?
This is a very non-breakfasty conversation so far.
Yeah. Good
well, I do want to say
their content.
One more thing about the show on Legendary Upside was I felt like related to Davis more than one thing he said on that show. He was questioned about you guys questioned him about his rankings. And like right away, early in the show, you're like, you would actually on the clock, you would actually make this pick.
I don't think we questioned him. I think we asserted that he was lying.
Okay.
I think we just
I admitted it. I admitted it immediately. But as Shope is about to say, he knows there's a difference between knowing what is right and knowing what you would do.
Yes. Like
what is right is pouring out the Diet Coke, and what you would do is drinking the Diet Coke.
These rankings are for normal, well-adjusted people. I'm giving my professional advice. In my case, Davis said, I just can't help myself. And so yesterday in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, there was a question about a guy asked for advice in a Superflex league, a rookie draft, picking between Cam Ward and Travis Hunter. And he said, my only quarterback is JJ McCarthy. What should I do? And Steph Miller and a few people came up, they said, well, you could take Ward. It's not egregious. And I would be so like, I would ask that question and I would never, ever not draft Hunter. So hi, Pete.
Totally. I totally agree.
Has anyone ever been more locked in than Shope? Like for the audio listeners, in the last 30 seconds, Pete emerged from the chat, hijacked the stream, put us on a best ball breakfast background.
No, I did that. That's when Pete came in and was like, this is a mess.
All of a sudden, Shope and Davis are on alone. Then Pete's on the stream. Then we're all back. We changed backgrounds like 6 times, get rid of a banner, and Shope was just fucking rolling through.
You're so locked in. I'm actually nervous. Do you watch the video? Like
I can't wait to watch it back. I can't wait to watch it back.
To self-scout.
Are you just looking at a blank screen? How did you stay in the zone there?
I got 30 years of this.
Oh my god, that was
Mike, that is an interesting point where Ward falls. Like, if Ward ends up being like an 8-year starter in all these leagues that we're in, he is going to be one of the cheapest first overall quarterbacks like of all time because people cannot help themselves with Travis Hunter. Although, to be fair, I have I got Hunter at 1.5 last night in a slappy league with a bunch of other slappies, and after I took him, I got 3 trade offers immediately. Because people with Hunter, no one can help themselves in these rookie drafts. People are just they're falling over each other.
Did you see the one that Fantasy Mojo posted? The one rookie draft for it was a $100 league, and Hunter went at the 201, one pick after Jonathan Brooks.
Well, the FFPC is a lawless. FFPC is a lawless wasteland where they love running backs.
On the FFPC, you have to cut down to 14 players.
Yeah, 16, I think. Yeah.
2 of them have to be kicker and defense, so it's
okay,
really
right.
14.
Right.
And then you draft the veterans back. So I have like a league that is like this team's been good for a while. I drafted Jaden Higgins on it now, but I had 4 receivers, and it's a 1 quarterback best ball dynasty league, and I had 4 receivers. So people draft the veterans. It's like a hybrid between a keeper and a dynasty league, I would say. Like in terms of the strategy, it's much more focused on like needing to win now, and what people trade for is like way more win now or immediate production focused, I should say. So it's still weird, but it's not like a super flex dynasty league or something.
Just kind of neither here nor there, but maybe this relates to our conversation. I took Geno Smith over Jackson Dart at the 2.2 in a FFPC in the league
that's you and me.
And I are in. Yeah. Because my team is, I have Genty, I have Bijan, I have Neighbors, I have Worthy, I have Sam Laporte. Like, it's ready to win now. And I just said, I'm taking the 18 months of Geno Smith production. I'm also very bullish on the Raiders, I think, relative to the market.
Me as well, for sure.
Yeah.
I am as well, yeah.
Okay. All right, there we go. It's allowed.
My favorite Best Ball Mania team has Genty and Bowers on it.
Are you like Liam? Do you go back and like look at your teams and be like, wow, dude, look at this 6 CLB on this team?
No, Sacrilegious was like looking at some of our teams and had highlighted that one. I was like, that team is sick. So yeah.
2 kinds of people.
How many rookie drafts in is everyone? I think I'm in 13 rookie drafts right now. How many you guys in?
Like really currently, or including ones that are finished?
Including ones that are finished.
I'm 16, 17, about the same.
Yeah, I cut down my dynasty league. I have 3 that are supposed to start soon, but haven't yet. But I'm only in, I think, like 8 or 9 leagues now. I think I got it under 10.
Jacob, 63, a real number? It sounded like a real number
right now. So including ones that are finished and currently going, I'm in 44, but I still have another 25-ish that have yet to start.
You could tell Jacob is the unmarried member of this cast.
Do you actually think it would be harder for you, Jacob, to do like
being in 70 dynasty leagues is one of those things where it's really hard to know like whether you're in 70 dynasty leagues because you're unmarried or whether you're unmarried because you're in 70 dynasty leagues. Like, it's like you can't really uncouple those 2 facts.
Davis,
do you think it's actually easier to be in that many leagues? Like at a certain point, do you get like, is there
like how
economy of
easier
scale?
In what particular way? Like, easier in some ways for sure. Like easier in ways that like I don't care when I trade away a player that I really like. Like it's like very easy to just be like, oh, I like this player, but I like this offer more, and that's fine because I still have like 14 other shares of this guy.
Right. That's kind of what I mean.
Harder on Sunday morning when you've like been out at like an EDM show until 3, and then you're on Pacific time, so like the game is starting at 10, and then you have to set your alarm for like 7 and set 70 dynasty lineups in the morning.
And before you get the dynasty lineup set, you got to pour back all the liquor into the bottles.
Plus Minnesota and Jacksonville are playing in London.
What a morning!
4 in the morning, or
right? Yeah. Oh my God. There's nothing. The London games are like a direct attack on my interests. Like there's nothing worse than like when you have there's like a guy that's questionable on a London game, and I've got to set my alarm for like 5:45, and then check every single lineup to be like, do I have Alvin Kamara on this team? So I have Alvin Kamara on this team.
Wait, in that situation, are you fully setting the lineup and going back to bed, or you're just handling that situation then setting a new alarm?
It really depends on the scenario. Depends pretty heavily on the previous night's game plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sense.
I was in Maui for my 50th birthday on a Sunday, and getting up. I mean, if it's once in your lifetime, it's okay, but getting up in the middle of the night, you step out onto the patio, you hear the ocean waves, just all happening, and it's not light out yet, and just setting lineups in that moment was spectacular. Having to do that every week, no. Just once in I just turned 50. I'm up. I'm doing this. This is the first thing I'm doing on my birthday. Okay. But not every week. That sounds tough, but we love it. That's why we're here.
We do love it. We do love it.
Risers and Fallers, as we are now another week away from the draft. There he is, DeAndre Swift. Right up top, RJ Harvey makes sense. They all do. Travis Hunter, Brian Robinson, also Washington. Robinson dodged the running back ad in the draft. Jaydon Blue in Dallas. Ashton Genty, another tick up in the first round. And Jack Bech. Swift. I'm wondering from you guys, how sure are we that there's no significant movement left? I mean, it's still almost 3 months away rather, from training camp. How much is still to happen?
I don't think that much. I mean, J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins is probably going to sign somewhere. But if we now know that he could end up back on the Chargers, and so I don't know. I mean, he just hasn't had much of a market. It's weird he hasn't signed already. He would make a lot of sense to me. Like, he's the type of back that, I think he's got to be better than Kyle Monangai. So why wouldn't the Bears bring him in? But there's kind of a deadline to that, right? I forget the exact date, but at a certain point he reverts back to being on
like mid to late June.
Yeah, so it's not like he can go through training camp and they're like, oh, we need a running back, and Dobbins is still hanging out there. So that's kind of unfortunate, because obviously the Chargers, he's not going to have the role he had last year or anything close. And then at that point, you're looking at Chubb, but I think Chubb is done. I mean, he might retire. Like, it's just so I like, he could sign on the Bears, and I'm not sure I would.
He's definitely signing with the Ravens, right? Chubb. There's never been a more Ravens signing than 30-year-old Nick Chubb. Yeah.
And then now you're talking about trades, and I don't know. I mean, I know people toss around some names like Etienne, but I don't think that's happening.
Swift, I think, has not risen enough.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I'm
83 feels okay.
You guys just saw Jacob's face. Jacob knows I'm right.
Yeah, I'll just take. No, I don't. No, thank you. I'll just take Roschon, and I'll take whoever they sign.
That was his.
I think
Saturday
should
morning,
be higher.
Diet Coke face. I think
you guys have fun.
Who are they signing where you're like, yeah, dude, shit, it's over?
J.K. Dobbins. They could trade for Breece Hall. They could trade for Etienne.
Pop quiz.
Yeah, I guess Breece Hall's potentially an option, but then who's their running back? Like, I don't know.
Braylon Allen.
Most yards
they're not gonna like that.
in DeAndre Swift's career. What year?
Probably his second year.
Last year.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was last year or the year with the Eagles.
We all hate him. We all think he stinks. We're all like, Ben Johnson. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing with the Bears this year. I'm closing my eyes and I'm just clicking the buy button on all of them. Caleb, Moore, even I mean, Moore and Rome I have ranked below ADP right now, but they're trending towards where I have them ranked. And then when they get there, I'll be taking them. Burden, Loveland. I'll take round 18 Komet. I am just buying Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's gonna be some real pain in this offense.
What if Caleb just actually
as far as the targets go?
I refuse to believe it.
I'm not saying I think that's the most likely scenario, but it's like a scenario that is not getting a lot of
that sign doesn't bother me because I can't read, Jacob.
Well, the thing with Swift is that you're not going. So the issue with Moore and Rome, Burden is that they're all expensive, and then you're competing. They're competing with each other for targets and with Loveland, who's also pretty expensive, and then Caleb's fairly expensive as well. He's not horribly priced, but you're talking about guys like you could complete this mega stack all within the first 10 rounds. So it's a lot to pay. Swift is the one guy where you're actually looking at like opportunity. And I do think he allows you to do other stuff. You know, like when I have Swift, I'm not like tacking on Javonte Williams. I'm tacking on Bashal Tutin or Cam Scatterbu or, you know, whatever. Like I'm not going Ramondre. I'm going with like an upside type of running back swing. So I don't really mind taking him. Obviously I don't like enjoy the click, but he allows me to do things that I want to do is kind of how I'm looking at it. And he's the one piece of this offense where you're not worried about a bunch of cannibalization effects. I mean, even Roschon getting more work wouldn't like Roschon has been bad. He's not like very likely to completely displace Swift, you know, who's got the pass catching role and is much more explosive than Roschon. So this isn't like crazy low at this point. But he was, you know, a target very clearly before. And I still think, you know, probably a little underpriced. Maybe you could, at this point, you could say, well, the risk is not priced in. So I don't think I'd be fine.
Like it's a similar price to last year. And I was actually ahead of market on Swift last year. But part of that was like, I don't like this player at all, but like the Bears do because they just invested in him under this regime. And so at worst, he's going to get fed with touches for, you know, half the season before maybe they change something and maybe they never will. But this year it's like I'm paying the same price and I understand he piled up yards because he stayed healthy last year, but he wasn't good. And now it's a new regime and they have other playmakers. There's still a long offseason left. Like maybe if he survives to August, they don't bring in any other back. He's still 83. I get it.
He won't be though. That's part of it. That like,
but he was this price last year. Why would he be more expensive this year than last year? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Ben Johnson.
But
all
Ben
the Bears
Johnson's
are more
positive
expensive
for Swift. Ben Johnson hates Swift.
Well,
but
why
if
didn't
he
they
hated,
draft
if
him?
he
might
hated
hate him,
Swift,
but he didn't fall through on that hate.
Yeah,
you know,
if he hated
so
him,
far, they got 4 months to go.
I mean, here they brought in Jamal
You
Williams.
saying he poured the hate back in the bottle?
He poured hate back in the bottle. That's right. He's saving it.
What does it do for you
season.
knowing they brought in Jamal Williams for a workout?
It affirms exactly what I think.
Well,
did they bring in Jamal? Is that real?
Yes. Yeah.
They did draft a running back in round 7. Like they had picks all over the draft. They could have. Why didn't they pick one? Like what does that tell you? They did pick one ultimately. Monangai from Rutgers in the 7th round, who, as I showed Davis, the league we're in together. He went 207 in a rookie draft. We're in together.
Yikes!
I don't know. Like, is that something?
I mean, he looks like a big time plotter by the numbers.
He looks like old Jamal Williams at 22.
Hang on. Okay. All right.
No, I would look. There's a few 7th round running backs that if they had drafted, I would be like totally willing to cape
Martinez.
For. Like
if Ollie Gordon, if
round
Ollie
7
Gordon was a Bear, there would be nothing
him.
stopping me.
If they had done round 7, Rashard Smith. If they had done round 7, Damian Martinez. If they had done round 7, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, even I could get there. Monangai is one of the less threatening round 7 options for sure.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Yeah, screw it. I even would get on Ollie Gordon. Fine.
Ollie Gordon, I'd be down, dude. I honestly would be. I would be taking Ollie Gordon now if I knew he was like for sure the number 2 there.
So what do we think their plan is?
Throw the ball.
I mean, I think that their plan was to draft Ashton Genty. I think that their plan probably was also to draft Trevion Anderson.
I agree.
And then I think that they just had to. Now that they're probably just going to try to figure out their plan on the fly.
There could be a running back cut. I mean, maybe there won't be trades, Pat, but there are these veterans that are kind of stuck. Like I that's what I'm asking.
Like who?
The original question. Well, Etienne, but about the Bears, like
you're not going to cut Etienne.
Some of these guys you can't really cut because it's just too expensive.
I mean, they might cut like
Kareem
Kareem Hunt might get cut, or Eli Mitchell maybe, but I don't think you'd be. It's like
Kareem Hunt, I think probably will get cut.
You don't want to be in May and still be like working on your roster. This is not like a great spot. And I kind of will give the Bears credit if they did get sniped on some of these running backs and didn't have another running back they really liked. They spent a 7th round pick on like kind of a grinder type that is like the thing that Swift is worst at. Like if you need 2.5 yards, Swift is the last back I'd want to put out there. So you give yourself another out with Roshan and Monungai of maybe finding a guy who can grind out short yardage stuff. But Swift isn't like a disaster. I've been out on Swift for a number of years now, but I'm like, one of the things I regret about how I approached last year is I'm like, there were these backs where I'm like, yes, someone else will come along and they just won't matter. And they did matter. And even with Kamara getting hurt and stuff and not mattering at the end of the season, if you get enough weeks of a guy mattering in best ball, it does help you a lot more than in redraft.
Swift to 2024 Kamara. I like that comparison a lot.
It's like that. Yeah.
He might be dusted by week 14, but if he gives you a bunch of 13-point games, 1 24-pointer, 1 18-pointer, then he all of a sudden he's a 27% advance rate piece.
And the things with like advance rate pieces is that I feel like, sometimes you're like, he's just, it's an advance rate piece. Like I'm building to win, but it's like, well, they're like, if these are pieces, if these are like, game pieces and you put an advance rate piece and then surround it with a bunch of back weighted production, and Swift literally advances a team that would not have advanced without him. And now you're cooking in the playoffs. Like that's an effective grouping of players, So that's what I'm talking about, where I think like Swift is helping me put together a running back room that I think actually works, even if he's not a particularly exciting click. This price is much more in line with like what makes sense, but yeah, this rise has been warranted.
He's 15 picks cheaper than James Conner.
Yeah, I would way rather have James Conner.
I'd rather have James Conner as well, but
me too,
they're week 1. You pull up your DFS projector of choice, and week 1, week 2, DeAndre Swift's probably going to be projected for similar, more half PPR points than James Conner.
I don't know what the chat says and how you feel, Pat, but I'm sensing Davis and Jacob could throw down today. I don't know if
they
you
all,
have a morning beer.
Everyone in the chat hates
Tough
DeAndre
guy.
Swift. They all hate DeAndre Swift.
What can we might need Davis to explain this. What does this mean?
Basically it means like you are absolutely guaranteed to lose value on this, that there are the price is going to fall through the floor. You're not going to get return. You could talk yourself into it at the moment, but the market is going to change the price on you rapidly.
That's what I don't agree with. I mean, I think taking Swift could absolutely fail. It's like a risky bet on veteran production. He's a classic dead zone back. It's just that you're taking him at pick 83.
The dead zone, the Overton window of the dead zone has really shifted. The dead zone is now the 7th and 8th round instead of the 3rd and 4th round.
But the dead zone works because it's like you're taking guys without upside. You're taking like guaranteed touches that actually aren't guaranteed, and you're passing on huge breakout bets at wide receiver or the chance to get an elite tight end or some of the best quarterbacks on the board. When you come down here into the 80s and those types of players aren't available as opportunity cost, is the dead zone so dead?
I do just want to make
still not a great profile.
Guys right behind Swift. So like you guys like Swift demonstrably more than like Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Isiah Pacheco right behind him.
No, but I don't want to have more than 10% of any of those guys.
I think I would prefer all 3 of the ones behind him to Swift. Because I think
Jones is just as sort of dusted as Swift at this point. He looked pretty washed last year. I think Mason could be a real problem for
30
Jones.
years old, hamstring injury. I prefer Mason to Aaron Jones. Obviously, if you could guarantee me Aaron Jones doesn't injure his quadriceps muscle, then I would be higher on him. But you can offer me no such assurances.
Not on the list, but it's come up on the show. We had that game that Pat whipped up about guys that might get, quashed in the draft. Tony Pollard, that didn't happen either.
Huge win. Huge win for Pollard. Because I'm not the other thing, we talk about the black marble for old guys. We also have the Tajay Spears black marble, no knee cartilage season at some point.
No ACL.
No
It's not even
ACL.
cartilage.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, who knows about the cartilage? He might not have that either, but he literally he won't directly answer the question, but he's not denying that he doesn't have an ACL.
Well, Pat, do you know who their third running back is?
Oh, is it Khalil Mullings?
It's your boy. It's your boy, Khalil
nice.
Mullings. Yeah.
And-
Pollard is a huge win. This whole tier of running backs, I think, is one of these guys is going to be like the way we talked about Kamara last year, or maybe like, I don't know, who is Brian Robinson Jr. Like Brian Robinson Jr., Pacheco, Swift, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard. These guys are all like super cromulent running back twos on a hero running back build.
To be clear, I'm also like not trying to like load up on Swift specifically. It's backs in this range. And look, we're coming out of a period of the pre-draft where I wasn't touching like any of these backs. Like there's just no way I'm taking DeAndre Swift, who the Bears could easily take Genty or something like that. Like actually, like, he ended up falling so late. I kind of did end up taking him some in the 120s, but I just wouldn't have touched him and didn't touch him anytime, he was more expensive. Tracy, Ramondre, I took sparingly. Warren, I took a lot less than I would have liked to because I was, the Caleb Johnson outcome was pretty obvious. So there's like these backs I was not into, but now, things have changed a lot, and I'm actually trying to target these guys in part because I'm like, maybe I have some leftover fade bias, from the pre-draft period of like, oh, you can't touch these guys. It's like, no, actually Pollard, I mean, he looks like a very, solid kind of low end RB1, high end RB2 type of bet, if he's chugging along and Cam Ward's good. Again, it's not like when I'm building my team around, but I'm like, okay, I have Pollard holding down a running back spot early in the season that allows me to do things I actually want to do more.
You could just draft George Pickens instead than these running backs, or at least for the last couple of months, or different Jaden Reed, different receivers who go around the same range.
Yeah, I get the feeling on the running backs that the receivers are tough for me in this range. Like there's a similar to last year and every year, there's like a real or perceived teardrop. Like it's honestly after like Jennings, Judy in the mid 60s, it gets to be like quite rough. Pickens, I'm fine with in the mid 70s.
Pickens, I like a lot.
Available. I like that click for sure. I'm open-ish to Pearsall and Reed, but doesn't feel great. Can't say it feels great. After that, I really struggle with all these wide receiver prices. So I definitely get the appeal of running backs. I'm more into Pollard
getting at
than what you guys are seeing with him than I am with Swift for sure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, last year, right?
Mostly because I just think there's a good chance that Swift's ADP is like still 140 by August because I still think they're pretty live to make a significant move.
What would that move be in your mind? Dobbins?
Sign Dobbins, trade for Etienne, trade for Hall.
Okay.
What about Brian Robinson?
I would give it like a not over a 50% chance to happen or anything like that, but I don't think it's like a tiny outcome.
Okay. Yeah, that really it almost
outcome.
It spins back to the question, like, what is the plan? What did they want? We talked last week, and I think you guys mostly agree that they were the Browns trade away from trading up for Genty.
Yeah. Or trade for Walker. They could trade for Walker.
They could do that. They were the betting favorite halfway through the day, that Thursday night of round one, to draft Genty. It was like expected that they would do that. And then the Jaguars went the other way. So what did they do instead? They just punted it. They traded with Buffalo, moved down, just did different things, and then ultimately the running back in round 7. How does Brian Robinson compare here? Another like an exciting offense. Very
super in on Brian Robinson. Yeah, that I get to be positive about. Surprised he survived, but part of the idea of why I think you don't click him previously is like, even if he survives, how much more expensive is he going to get? Turns out not quite 2 rounds. So I think but yeah, now at this point, I mean, I was super into B-Rob last year without knowing how good Jaden Daniels is going to be. It's basically the same setup last year, except about a round more expensive. with a lot more confidence in the offense. I'm very into Brian Robinson.
Man, you were going to learn the name Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt so hard about week 9.
Probably not.
Probably not.
He's this
but
year's
I'm
Chris Rodriguez.
I'm wishing it. What's happening? What about McWeapon? Right, the year 8 breakout for McWeapon. It's
the thing with Robinson. Robinson really, the end of last season makes me nervous. Where we saw a bunch of Eckler. Actually, they were bringing in McWeapon, and like Chris Rodriguez got some run. It was like this real committee, and
he was real banged up. Brian Robinson. Remember, he was like not practicing at all Wednesday, Thursday,
yeah, that's
Friday
true.
with that knee
he was
injury.
banged up. He was banged up. That's right. But I mean, he's maybe I'm holding that against him too much. But with Robin, like, okay, compared to like Swift or Pollard, we've actually seen both those guys, Swift and Pollard, for multiple seasons be kind of like, well, we don't have anyone else, and this guy can like be the backfield. The Swift did this with the Eagles. He did this with the Bears last year. Pollard, his awful year with the Cowboys, it was gross because we took him in the second round. He's still the whole backfield. And then, last year he was kind of the backfield. So I feel comfortable to an extent. All this stuff is somewhat thin because we're talking about old veteran running backs who are not very good. But, there's at least like a history of the team feeling confident with the current players on the depth chart. Like, okay, let's just give it to this guy. Robinson, I just don't have as much confidence that happens. That it seems like he's like part of a committee generally, but maybe the end of the season is weighing too heavily in my mind.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's not gonna be like an 80% touch rate guy or whatever. But at least I guess I just see a narrower range of outcomes for this one. Like I'm reasonably confident that this is going to be their backfield. Robinson's going to have his role. Probably Eckler or McWeapon or whoever else is going to have the other role. And if like we're saying at the point of these picks is safety, I'm reasonably confident that Robinson gives me that safety compared to Swift, where I agree the upside is higher. But I still see chances of an addition. I wouldn't be that surprised if it's just Roschon's backfield. I get more sketched out.
I'd be pretty surprised if it was wrong. But I guess the thing too, it's not that it's safety necessarily. It's that I think he hits my lineup in the early season. Or what worries me about Robinson is that I have Robinson all season, but he like doesn't do much.
Bunch of 11 pointers, 11 carries for 44 yards, 2 receptions for 16 yards, and like 50% of the time he scores a touchdown.
Swift's game log is going to, hopefully it's like 15, 8, 11, 22, and then like chugs along in the teens and then is done. Like, but
Swift will definitely have a game with 11 carries for negative rushing yards at some point. That will definitely
that's
happen.
A lock.
That's a lock. Yeah.
Do you know, Davis, that Reggie Bush completed a full season with the Bills and finished in negative rushing yards?
Actually, I did not know that. Reggie Bush.
Wow.
Which means that I have more rushing yards in Bills history than he, I think, right? 0.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Wow.
Jaydon Blue, back to a rookie here.
Windmill.
Pretty good jump.
Fucking windmilling, Jaydon
Windmill, yeah.
I think I've drafted him in every single draft I've done.
Where should he go in rookie? Like mid second? Is that early?
Yeah.
No.
Late second, early
in dynasty drafs. I don't think he should be in until the third in dynasty drafts because I don't think that he actually is much of a runner. I think he's a fun player. I think he's like a Naheem Hines type where I actually think he's a legitimately good receiving back. And you can give him like 6 to 8 carries a game and he'll pop. But I think as soon as you start giving him 15 carries, the diminishing returns are going to hit like crazy with him. And part of that is why Texas never really did it. But in this specific year, in this specific backfield, if the options are really fun player with a ton of juice who has a receiving role, and maybe you could extend his rushing more than you want to, or sub NFL level dust balls, then like Sure, I could see myself. I could see Jaydon Blue having I think Jaydon Blue will have the best year of his NFL career this year. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yes, I agree with that.
I don't view him as a very
100%.
fun dynasty pick, but I'm windmilling in the best ball.
Yep,
that does make sense.
Do you guys remember
really didn't.
Chris Thompson?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
2016 Chris Thompson, 700 scrimmage yards, 5 touchdowns. 2017, 800 scrimmage yards, 6 touchdowns. Jaydon Blue can rip that off for sure. 800 scrimmage yards, 6 touchdowns. Totally.
We were talking about Kyron Williams, Davis, on some pod, and you mentioned how many pass blocking snaps he had.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct, but the thing that jumped out to me was actually number 2 on the list was Javonte Williams with a pretty good pass blocking grade by PFF as well. I like Williams is a guy I wasn't touching at all. And I think his price is now corrected to where I'm not really touching him now. But it does make me nervous a little bit for Blue, where you have this guy who's going to be able to do the Zeke stuff, I think, to be out there and pass protect.
Yeah, Javonte is Zeke.
Javonte is Zeke, yeah. So that makes me a little nervous. I don't think Blue...
But Blue is Rico Dowdle, who's totally fine.
He's not Rico Dowdle, though. Dowdle was like a true running back. Dowdle's a much bigger running back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Jaydon Blue is any good, but in this spot, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess what I'm saying is I think it's getting to a price where it does. This rise makes a lot of sense to me. At this point, I'm not as excited.
Do you agree he should be the first Cowboy running back drafted?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Well,
then who should be Davis?
Maybe Javonte.
You don't like it. I don't like it. All the slappies watching and listening to this don't like it, but it's definitely Javonte.
It probably should be Javonte.
Can we book a bet right now? Javonte, Jaydon Blue, half PPR points per game in 2025.
That doesn't work because I don't take Javonte and I do take Blue. I think Blue's my most drafted player right now. As you said on the Dynasty show, why does the fictional rational actor never have the same decision-making pathway as you? And yeah, So
you think other people should make that bet with me, but you yourself won't accept it?
I myself have. I think I have 30. I think I have 35% Jaydon Blue right now, and I bet I have 4 or 5% Javonte.
No respect for Phil Maffa.
Well, Phil Maffa's a big boy.
I have some respect for Phil Maffa.
Phil Maffa weighs 230 pounds.
Respect for anyone who's not Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders.
Here's what I'll say about the Blue Javonte thing is that if we get word that Blue is in line for the type of role that we expect him to be, then he's clearly the first back who should go in Dallas, and is easily 20 picks undervalued currently. But I guess the thing that you're taking on with Blue right now is that he's not that good of a prospect. He has a sort of the case you're making, Jacob, he's not going to get a ton of touches. I'm hearing not much upside, he's a passing down back on a team that has a really good pass protector. So how much work is he going to get even on third downs? Are we talking about a rotational explosion back who's getting some swing passes on second down?
You're literally talking about Nyheim Hines, but getting 9 carries a game.
Well, yeah, right. Which is what Nyheim Hines did a couple of years, and then he was a top 24 running back.
Give me more assurance that he actually has that locked down, because he didn't have a ton of draft capital.
Hines didn't play third downs either, and he got 80 targets.
Sure, sure.
It would be different team. I think the role, if you're trying to do a Cowboys metaphor, would be what was the year? The year before he fully broke onto the scene, but once it was he was no longer just a pure backup, Tony Pollard. When it was he's not playing third downs and he's not playing goal line, but he's getting a lot of fun touches. And he has some spike weeks mixed in. That's probably what I expect for Jaydon Blue.
4 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever.
Right, but that Pollard in his rookie season, he did have
definitely not
455 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Basically didn't play other than when Zeke was out. It was
that's
maybe
kind of what I'm saying though. We're talking about a 5th round pick who's not a traditional running back, I would like a little bit more confidence, from what I'm from like even some mini camp buzz would be nice. Like, we're just going to slot this guy into this like fairly particular role that like not a lot of teams are using these days. Like, it's very possible that he's just a backup, and the correct answer is the gross starter.
Well, then I just think there isn't an answer.
Yeah, fair. I don't think Javonte.
There's no world for me in which Javonte Williams is the answer. I think it's like, to me, either Blue is a good pick or the Cowboys have no running.
You have slappy tunnel vision right now, and
this is like the same argument that I got with the Zeke people last year. Like, people were like, "Dude, Zeke's gonna get like no, get the fuck out of here." Javonte Williams last year had a workhorse role the entire year and had zero value, zero.
Yeah, I mean.
Except that's like, not
there's
true.
Not a world on this planet which Javonte Williams
he had 800 yards and 4 touchdowns last year. If you get 800,
how many helpful best ball weeks did he have? Like 1,
2, I think. I think he had 2.
He had the one game against the Saints. It was great. I loved it. I had a lot of them.
He had the one game, and to be clear, I was like leading the charge on Javonte hate last year. He stinks.
I was leading it on Javonte Love. It was the worst experience of my life. It was horrible.
It was not fun.
Every week I'd be like, "Oh, good, we're getting like a great roll. Oh, we had 7 points on 8 targets."
I'm trying to be as Leone as possible. And let's pull up the establish the run ranks right now. I'm gonna I'm gonna guess
much worse than I thought.
May I just say,
yeah.
I cracked the beer. I was waiting the whole time. This is an NA, by the way. Just wait. I mean, Davis throwing down tough guys.
You got to let it go. You got to let it go flat, and then you'll understand.
Yeah, it might taste the same.
Our friends I'm actually legitimately shocked right now. Our friends at Establish the Run, Michael Leone and the data science team, have Javonte 20 spots after ADP. And they have Jaydon Blue also 20 spots after ADP. So I guess there's nothing to learn from our nerd friends.
Yeah,
where's Miles? Because I'm like a little bit into Miles Sanders.
Miles might be the answer, honest to God, because he's free. I don't think that Javonte has to be a good pick.
Why is
just
Miles
because
a different bet than Javonte? He got signed.
He's the same bet. Honestly, he might be like way less washed.
He's much less washed.
What's the evidence that Miles Sanders is? Where do we? Okay, I mean, we're continuing to talk in circles here, and it just is like, maybe this is just a shitty backfield, and they kind of just all chop and change it.
Yeah,
it's the 2024 Chiefs, except the Kareem Hunt points are split between 2 guys.
I think it might be interesting that they drafted 2. Like, what is if you're trying to project Blue, why would they draft another one? They're not like really good, so why would they feel the need to draft a second one?
Phil Maffa, I believe, is listed at
he's
230.
He has nothing in common with Blue, at least. Like he is a large short yardage.
Yeah, that's intentional.
He's too okay. Oh, you want to? That
doesn't make me nervous for Blue, because like Blue's never going to do that stuff anyway. Like he like no matter who Blue is paired with, like the backfield could be Jaydon Blue and Mike Shope, and like I'm betting on you to get the goal line work.
I just saw the absolute worst timeline, which is Jaydon Blue is active for special teams. All 4 guys are active on game day, and they're all getting like each guy gets like 2.5 rushes per week.
And how does Hunter Lupke factor into this?
Oh my God, Hunter Lupke. I had totally forgotten about third down back Hunter Lupke. Yeah, I'm still taking Jaden Rodriguez. I don't even know, how did that even happen. I guess I was thinking Chris Rodriguez. I'm still taking Jaydon Blue. Once a slap, always a slap. Don't do as I say, not as I do.
Jacob giving me the ball once I told him that I have more career rushing yards than Reggie Bush, who in 2016, 12 carries for -3 is the official stat line on that.
Did he return kicks on that team? I totally wiped this out.
He caught a few passes. What I'll remember him most for is I was on the sideline with my young son before a preseason game, and a punt. He was, getting ready for a punt return roll, and he just didn't bother coming to the ball. It came to the sideline, and my son picked it up, and it's right there. So that was pretty cool.
Good for Reggie Bush.
Good for Reggie Bush. Good for Julius.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at DeAndre Swift stats from last year and lowering him in the ranks. It's worse than I remember.
While you do that, if you don't mind, switch to the second slide here as we're approaching 50 minutes.
We didn't even talk about Bech. We didn't
talk about RJ Harvey or Bech or Genty. That's right.
Go RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey, not high enough.
This feels fairly efficient. The more you think about it, it feels fine.
Good with Harvey. I think there's been enough Harvey discourse on the internet.
Yeah.
I think we can skip that. I just want to make a real quick point on Bech here. This is actually, the Slappies have not gone far enough with Jack Bech. A round 2 pick in a dome. They're very likely to be top 5, 6, 7 in pace, plays per game, situation neutral. They're probably going to be bad, so that'll tilt them a little bit more. Maybe not bad, but they're not going to be throttling people on defense. I don't think anyone imagines that. These are the players who are standing in the way of Jack Bech, even with Bowers, even with Genty demanding, let's call it 50% of the available just plays.
Trey Tucker.
Jacoby Myers.
Right. Jacoby Myers, Jacoby Myers can have his 25% target share, and there's still enough meat on the bone because these are the other players. Year 4, Trey Tucker. Michael Mayer, who, if you go back and look, Michael Mayer played over 60% of the offensive snaps for the Raiders after he came back from his personal absence last year. Dante Thornton, a 5th-round rookie, Christian Wilkerson, and another guy whose name I am totally forgetting. So basically, if Bech is good, and that's the part you have to solve for in this equation if we're working backwards, but if he is good, there is no roadblock. There's this is as wide open as a depth chart can possibly get. And that's even with, let's assume
not.
Let's assume
Myers is good. Bowers is good. It's not wide open. There's 2 other legit pass.
It's wide open for routes.
It's wide open for
routes. The path for Bech to run 90% of routes is very, very
so clear.
Okay.
The path for him to have, though, like, to be more than the number 3 option in the passing game, that I'm struggling to see. So, like, I like Jack Bech a lot, but I think this price is, like, pretty fine.
I think it's fine. Lack of imagination on Jacob's part.
Because, like, you shouldn't be, like, getting close to, like, Trey Harris, who's basically the same draft capital, but with a better quarterback, and can, if he's good, he's just easily the number 2 option, whereas Bech is the number 3 option.
Now, as MTM Revolt says, we do need to stay woke to Tommy Mellett, who is the most interesting player. You don't know about the legend of Tommy Mellett, Jacob?
What is this? The legend of Sid Finch?
No, dude. This is a 10 RAS quarterback wide receiver who played at Montana State University. He is incredible.
Yeah, this is a Davis Maddox special.
This is a Davis Maddox special. This is like,
look for him on your stream in July.
God, I hope so, man. Lane Larison told me all of his media has to get approved by the Patriots now, so I think I missed my window.
Oh no, he's on the Patriots.
Yeah,
that could be kind of good for him.
Kind of good for him, but not good for getting media approval. I think.
Yeah, I don't think that's the team you want if you're trying to book somebody. I don't think that's the team you want.
Davis, you could make content out of
the
journey of trying to get media approval from the Patriots, though. Like, you could just publicly post all of the correspondence with the Patriots. That would do numbers.
Let me know if I can help.
I might need you. Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna. Yeah, Jordan Hudson
would be hanging on every.
What you need is for the guy to have like a cause. If he has, like, he's showing up at a school, he's food bank, anything like that. If he has a cause, then either through his agent or the team, you'll get a press release. If you're on the list, you'll get a press release announcing it, and then you can book him.
I don't know if Lane Larison is big enough to have a cause yet.
Yeah, he's got to make a play first.
The cause is still Lane Larison. That's his current cause.
making the team.
The cause is making the Patriots practice squad.
He goes into PR. Is like, I've got this thing. They're like, not yet. You just got to be on. You got to have a jersey first before we can start promoting you. Okay. Sorry to rush everybody.
What about this? What about this idea? You could maybe get Lane Larison on the pod.
Pete dressed up as Lan would do numbies. That would be a really good bit.
It still does sound like a name Will Ferrell might have dreamed up. Lan Larison.
He's a cowboy, dude. He used to, in high school, he rode like bucking broncos on a ranch. Not a real person.
You got to go sort of back channels to get him. Okay. Fallers. The theme with risers was they're not yet, rising enough. Mostly.
Right.
We sort of liked all these guys even after their move up on the boards. Fallers, Najee Harris on top, 27% drop, obviously. DJ Moore, I heard you guys talking about him the other day. Nico Collins, Rome Odunze, also with Moore on the Bears. Jerome Ford, Jaylen McMillan, and Dylan Sampson. That's interesting. Kind of maybe we think blocked by Judkins in Cleveland. I don't know what they'll do.
Bad draft capital outcome too. I mean,
Ford
he was
and
expected to go day 2, and then he goes day 3 to a place where he's maybe the RB2, maybe even the RB3.
Yep.
And a lot of these rookies, I mean, we were really hoping to hit the Harvey type of outcome, Yeah. And so, like he needed to fall.
Nico Collins is the 2 Texans day 2 receivers.
I actually think it's that Genty is rising. And another one of the wide receivers is higher now. I don't have the rank.
It's funny because it's like
Neighbors.
20. It's a 20% fall, but like he fell like 2 spots. So it's like it's just
Yeah, it's fine.
Neighbors didn't get Travis Hunter. Maybe a slight rise.
Yes.
I think Dart is like better than it just seems like better when you see what happened to Cleveland. You're like, yeah, Jackson Dart's not so bad. This could be okay. At least there's like hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Bears, Davis, here you go. I mean, if you want all the Bears, you got 2 here that are falling.
And they're going to keep falling. And once Odunze gets to my ranking, I plan on clicking the button. I just am not going to take the worst of it right now in these contests when I know the direction that it's going. Like those are. I think I have him at 57, so he's at 50 right now. There. And those are
59.
Oh, there we go. So I guess I drafted yesterday. I did take Rome once.
I have him at 60, so we're aligned there.
My copy of Davis's updated Dynasty ranks has Odunze at 50, which I'm using in a startup.
Yeah, I was not as
higher
bearish.
than mine, I think.
Yeah, it is. I'm not as bearish. That's funny. On Odunze's future value as it seems other people are, because I think there's like 3 diametrically opposed ideas for why they took Loveland and Burden, and it just really depends on the weight that you're holding in your mind at the time. It could be they don't want DJ Moore anymore. It could be Rome insurance. It could be they think Rome is not him and they need another wide receiver. It could be Ben Johnson just wants to throw the ball a bazillion times. It could be Ben Johnson just loved Luther Burden. Could be Ryan Poles loved. There's so many, and I just don't think you can definitively say which thing yet. But I do know that Rome Odunze was a pretty good prospect with really good draft capital who flashed a little bit. There are a lot of reasons that we can all give excuses for the Bears offense underperforming last season. Now, could this be crazy? Could Rome Odunze go the way of Jalen Reagor? Of course he could. That's always I think a legitimate risk, but I am on the other side of that right now.
Burden, speaking of them, is interesting to me because he seems like a really hot item in these rookie drafts, and that's with Loveland on top, that's with Odunze and with Moore. And as a player that did not make the first round, Burden was somebody that people had either side of the coin, really loved the talent, but didn't want to, sort of trust it based on other factors. Yet, even with how it went, it seems like he's somebody you have to kind of a little bit reach for in rookie drafts. So Burden didn't get like the perfect outcome, but it's good enough and it has people excited, I think.
Yeah, he's just going in a range where I don't know that I even love the price on Burden in best ball. I love the price in Dynasty. But there's no one going around Burden that I feel that terrified of beating me. So I'm pretty open minded to just like chucking the dart at the board on Burden and seeing what happens at his spot.
What is that
where
number,
the
Jacob?
opportunity
Do you
costs
know?
a lot higher at his ADP.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like 80. What do you guys have it in front of you? You guys,
I'm looking.
Who's
Burden's ADP?
87.
103 on underdog.
Oh, I'm looking
Wait,
at
what?
something that is. I'm looking at.
103.
I guess I was looking at the wrong sheet. I'm
no,
pulling
it's
it
not
up right now.
103. It's not
103
103.
103.4.
Yeah,
No,
wide receiver,
Really?
wide receiver 51. Yeah,
Yep.
it just.
No,
it
I
just- it just-
have 88.3 right now.
Oh, that's the eliminator. That I knew I wasn't crazy. That's the eliminator. It's the yes. He is 88.3, wide receiver 47.
That is the exchange rate. That's what Jacob usually is first to the US Canada.
Yes.
So that's
The 103
88.3. There we go.
when you click the rankings tab, it defaults you to
Okay.
the eliminator.
I'm on the wrong
103
one.
makes sense in the eliminator because Luther Burden is not an eliminator ass pick. That's for sure.
You're right.
He's a puppy 3 ass pick. Luther Burden.
I've been taking him in the puppy and the
Yeah.
schnauzer.
But yeah, at
no doubt
88,
about
like
it.
these are the guys that he's like living with, right? I mean, it's all the guys it's all the dusty running backs we just talked about: Swift, Jones, Brian Robinson, Pacheco. It's like the beginning of the quarterback wave. Darnell Mooney goes directly behind him. No thanks. So at that point in time, it's like, sure, I'll like take the blind shot on Luther Burden that could end up being totally useless. But where Rome's going, no chance. Like, I'm not taking him over Chris Olave. I'm not taking him over Juwan Jennings. DJ Moore doesn't exist in my rankings. DJ Moore is not a player that consists in my portfolio.
I love how they default
DJ
me
Moore
to the
needs
other
to
cool
roll.
contest I can't play in.
DJ Moore, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I will eventually go camping when I've entered some slow drafts, and I will auto draft DJ Moore. But that's the only way that I get a share of his services in the 2025 best ball season.
Jacob's such a hater, man. He just
I do
hates the
think there's some
guy.
upside with Moore, but he just needs to fall. Like the 3-4 turn, there's other things I want to do there. I think if he was even going like at the end of the 4th, I'd be totally fine with it. It's just that there's one. I think he should be kind of after the group that he's currently in the middle of. Yeah, Burden is a tricky one because I am kind of excited, but he is boom bust. In redraft, I think I'll be pretty in, but I'm
For
also
sure.
kind of in
Yeah.
here. I'm kind of in here, to be honest.
Yeah,
Me too.
I'm the least in here of every format that I play, but I will still certainly be overweight.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
But when we get to FFPC season, I mean, get the clips ready, right? Like that's like I want them on every single team. If I can just stick them on the bench.
By the way, speaking of that, I'll be in the big Gorilla Hardway draft tomorrow night. Can't stream it because we're driving kids around from sports, but that's at 8 o'clock. FFPC will have a stream. Who else here? Speaking of RJ Harvey earlier, a lot of these guys have been talked about a lot already and by us. I talked to a reporter in Cleveland yesterday, Spencer German, about the Browns, trying to figure out what they do. I mean, we talk about the quarterbacks with them and what kind of a competition that will look like. How does Judkins versus Sampson feel based on draft capital and talent to you guys?
I think it's pretty clear what they want to do. They want to run the gosh dang ball and try and win as many games 17-13 as possible.
Yeah.
God, can you just imagine Kevin
Judkins
Stefanski's
their
job,
guy.
man?
Judkins is their guy. Like I'm not a big Judkins fan, but he went 36th overall to a team that shouldn't have been really in the drafting running backs market at their point in their franchise. So he's definitely the dude. It's just a tough situation to invest in. I don't know. Like they're going to have like 5 different quarterbacks. Their offense is going to be terrible. I mean, Judkins is going to need like an absurd amount of volume as a non-pass catching or at least to this point, non-pass catching prospect on an awful team. So it better be like 80. There's a big difference based on the situation between Judkins is the guy with 61% of the touches, and Judkins is the guy with 82% of the touches. I mean, he's going to need it to be the latter for his upside case. On this
I'm not even really that into Judkins.
I'm not.
He's fine. He's fine.
I'm not that into any of the Browns.
Early down runner on a team that is going to play 4 different quarterbacks this year. Like,
yeah, it is. It is when you put it like that. It is a little unfortunate, but I think Judkins isn't like purely a 2-down guy. He was used a bit in the passing game, and was used a bit in the passing game even with Henderson last year. I know he's not like, he's not Hampton even. Like Hampton, you're like, this dude can do everything well enough to just be a 3-down workhorse. He's going to be more of like a 2-down dude. But I don't think he's like a 0 in the passing game. So that's the part I'm struggling with. I think I'm higher on Judkins as a prospect maybe than you guys. But yeah, I mean, him getting flipped by Harvey makes sense to me.
The FUD about the broken tackles got to me a little bit on Judkins.
Yeah, broken tackles, we like Sean has always talked about, like we always overpay for broken tackles,
and then sometimes guys, that's their like that was Zach Moss's only trait.
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
That was
what
his
actually mattered
trait.
It's like guys take different paths to getting efficient, to being efficient rushers, and that's
what path did Judkins take exactly?
Playing for Ohio State.
Oh, he didn't take any path
playing for Ohio State.
No, but he wasn't efficient at Ohio State at all.
Yeah. No, he wasn't. He really wasn't. Henderson was much better. All right, I got a little. We could just play a little game. How many rushing touchdowns?
Like he played at Ohio State. Well, he had 5.5 yards. That's fine. The previous year he had 4.3 at Ole Miss.
He was hurt. He was hurt that year. Played through an ankle injury at Ole Miss.
That's what I would say.
That is what I would say. How many rushing touchdowns total for the Cleveland Browns? I say 13. 13 total rushing touchdowns.
Probably not a bad median.
What's the bottom? What's the bottom for this stat normally in the league? I mean, the Bills had 30.
Yeah, what
last year?
Last year?
What's
6?
the low?
Here, I will pull it up. In 2024, rushing touchdowns, median was 13. The Cowboys had 6. The Browns last year had 8. The New York Jets had 8. The Minnesota Vikings is kind of weird. They had 9. The Patriots had 10. So basically, like the 15th team in the NFL had 15. So 13,
13's good.
13 was high, I think, actually.
So I'm feeling like a nice 10.
So I think my way of stating that would be we're actually probably I might need to move Judkins down a little bit.
How many passing touchdowns do they come up with?
Passing touchdowns for the Browns last season, 19. 1 more than the Patriots, 4 more than the New York Football Giants.
So 6 for Shedeur, 5 for Flacco, 2 for Gabriel,
4 for Pickett,
3 for Pickett.
The Browns couldn't have taken Tommy Mellott. They couldn't have taken Tommy Mellott just for me to dream.
1 for Gretchen Wieners.
That's a bit annoying.
I know Elijah Moore caught 1 last year. New Bill Elijah Moore.
Yes.
By the way, speaking of breaking tackles, I just thought of a line when I was talking to Ross Tucker a few weeks ago about Genty, and I never heard a bad word about Genty from anybody. Everything was just like, he's amazing, comparing him to generational prospects. And Ross at one point said, though, the 5 yards after contact per carry maybe make somebody miss once.
It's an interesting take, but the reason why he has so many yards after per carry is because his runs were so long. So, like, if you think about it, your yards after contact
60.
per attempt.
You're saying Genty doesn't make people miss?
No, it was just a comment, like a throwaway comment he made. Just
okay.
That is
broken tackles, all the mileage on them already.
That's innumeracy in action, not understanding that if you have two 60-yard touchdown runs where you were contacted near the line of scrimmage, that is going to super skew.
Genty makes people miss constantly. That's like his whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, Genty's whole thing is everything.
Of any running back I've ever watched.
Genty's whole thing is everything. It's actually bearish when you run for 7-yard touchdowns, if you think about it.
Okay.
I just thought it was funny.
That comment. I'm glad that was a throwaway comment because that's.
I just thought it was funny.
Genty's first game where he goes 14 carries for 48 yards, people are just going to be up in arms. They're going to be like, this is Bijan with Arthur Smith all over again. Raheem Mostert looks bad, like the first bad Genty game. All the olds are going to be like, and you guys were taking a Raiders rookie running back in the first round. Yeah, right, dude. It's going to be, you just prepare yourself for that.
Can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We talked about
DraftKings next week.
Yeah.
We talked about the veteran running backs a little bit already. Not so much Pacheco, Davis. How did he come out of this draft? Pretty good.
Here we go.
I mean, sad to say it, man. Pacheco probably just like the clearest chance of being a league winner of this group of guys. And you guys know it pains me to say it because that is then by transference that indicates that the Chiefs are going to be boring and annoying on offense again. But if the best replica of the McKinnon role, which became the Pirine role, is a 7th round rookie, they might just have Pacheco out there for 80% of the snaps. Because I don't think my position right now, if you made me bet at -110 either way, is Kareem Hunt on the week 1 roster. I'm betting -110. No, he is not.
Okay.
Interesting.
So,
yeah,
because Pacheco is going to be obviously on the roster. Smith, I would think, is probably on the roster, but not I guess guaranteed. But I'd like to bet on him.
Mitchell.
And well, that's Mitchell, the thing. It's Hunt versus Mitchell, right? Probably for the 3rd spot.
I mean, 3.5 versus 1.5 million. They signed Mitchell the first week of free agency.
3.5 guaranteed for Mitchell?
I will look up. No, he actually. So this is actually did look us up the other day. The interesting thing about his deal is it's 2.5 million guaranteed, or 1.35 guaranteed.
It's 1.35. Yeah.
He has really interesting incentives that I think it is kind of interesting to see how his agent negotiated this. So he's got touchdown incentives up to 7 touchdowns. He has playing time incentives up to 50% of the snaps and rushing yard incentives up to 700 yards. That I think is not nothing in terms of how they structured his deal. And I think it's interesting that Mitchell was willing to sign it.
Yes, right away.
Well,
yes.
So guaranteed money, by the way, it's 1.35 for Mitchell. It's 850K for Hunt. So there is a 500K guaranteed gap between them. I don't think that
that money's on top of the guarantees, I guess, right?
Yes. I'm not
guaranteed
windmilling.
signing 1.35. Yeah.
So it's a little bit more. It's definitely not.
But also the relative paucity of these contracts is just a huge boon for Pacheco, I think.
Yeah, no, that I agree with.
Did you just say the relative paucity of the contracts?
Yeah, did I use that
word?
Wrong?
Cheap. They're cheap.
No, you used it impressively.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. I think
word of the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but also the other thing on top of this is the Chiefs are so arrogant and just being like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be bad at throwing the football. We're going to lose 2 of our star defensive players. We're going to let our best offensive linemen go to the Chicago Bears. We're going to try and be a running team. But let's actually just have shitty running backs and just like a bad offensive line, bad running backs. Let's just see what happens.
Well, that's the thing. Pacheco has been one of the toughest guys for me to figure out in the rankings because you talk about like Swift and all, Pollard and all these guys. You're like, well, yeah, he sucks, but we're betting on the situation. This is maybe a better situation than some of these other dudes. You're on the Chiefs. You're the lead running back on the Chiefs. And we've seen Pacheco take advantage of that in the past. It's just at the end of the season, he was trash and he didn't have the role and he was losing it to Kareem
from
Hunt.
Injury, though.
Right. So how much of it is
I think you could argue he's actually better than the rest of these guys.
That's kind of that's been the thing for me. It's like is this Pacheco from a couple years ago? Because in that case,
so that's the thing is I don't expect him to be. I don't and also Pacheco
why is that?
Is because this injury sucks. He had the same procedure that Mark Andrews had, that Tony Pollard had, that Tank Dell had, that completely changed their efficiency. Crane, open this tab up. I just shared my screen. Bring this up. So I've just been using these as shorthand because no one else has full detailed projections up yet. These are Mike Clay's NFL projections. I'm not using these as gospel or anything. When we get different projections, I'll start using them. But this is how he has the backfield broken down, and it's the most disgusting split of nastiness you can imagine. He has Pacheco for 183 carries, Kareem Hunt for 115, Eli Mitchell for 30. I would disagree on that, but whatever. It's instructive for the point. Carson Steele active for special teams. He's got him in there. He has Brashard Smith basically as like an injury.
Week 18. Yeah.
And he also has Worthy for 19 rushes, which I think napkin math, that sounds about right. I mean, maybe like if Pacheco is 80%, not 100% health, this is probably what it's going to look like. And it's going to be just the worst, grossest mire situation. But ascribe some... I always knew when Pacheco came back last year, he was going to be bad because you can't break your leg and come back and be an effective NFL running back. The question is, how far along in his recovery is he now?
Yeah.
But really, I'm just annoyed that Caleb Johnson is not a Chief. Like, just, can we just...
Agreed.
Can we not do this? Every year with the Chiefs, one of the positional groups is like the worst in the NFL.
You gotta know with the Chiefs, it's like the Chiefs they love doing a little last minute surprise.
Oh,
so there's a pretty decent chance that like one of these guys, maybe two of these guys gets cut, and they are the team that trades a 7th round pick for someone on August 28th.
Miles
or they pick up somebody that gets cut from waivers or whatever. Like there's that. That's always in play for the Chiefs. They're super active with that stuff. So
the history
you're
of
always
this,
you're always live for the last minute rug pull.
The history of this is so deep. I've actually done obviously I've gone deep into this, but I mean, they've done this literally every year. I mean, you guys, no one remembers this. The year that Carlos Hyde ran for 1,000 yards for the Houston Texans, he was a Kansas City Chief.
He was on the Chiefs.
He was on the Kansas City Chiefs until 10 days before the season started. He was on.
I recall.
He was on the Chiefs. Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, LaShawn McCoy. Just Andy cannot help himself.
They couldn't do it with Ronald Jones. You just couldn't let Ronald Jones be there.
I know. That's right.
I forgot we were drafting Ronald Jones on the Chiefs.
Yeah. They just couldn't let him have it.
Yeah, in like the 9th round.
This is the most annoying. This is the most annoying team.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
I actually get everyone who hates the Chiefs. I totally get it. I mean, just look at this, man. Look at this.
Yeah. It's gross, man. And they did this like Darrell Williams, Damian Williams. Like these guys were also just.
Where did
these guys come from?
I can't even talk about Damian Williams. I mean, that is just.
It used to be that they could find. Like, let's hope Brashard Smith.
Sharkhandrick West.
Yeah.
Oh, Sharkhandrick West was good. Sharkhandrick West was good before.
Niall
Damian
Davis
was good.
Where?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, okay. So they draft Kareem Hunt. What was he? A 3rd round pick?
He was a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
3rd round pick.
So they spent, a reasonable amount of capital at position. He gets cut off the field stuff, and he was an assault. And then he gets replaced by Damian Williams.
Yeah, it was Dame time.
Yeah. But then they don't bring Damian Williams, and they draft CEH, which doesn't work. So now we get Darrell Williams and stuff. So they've actually spent at the running back position at points. Why couldn't they just spend like in this class? Like it's a 7th round pick.
You couldn't get Byshell Tootin. You're telling me that you just did. Oh God!
But I mean, they also did draft a guy that we like really late. So, like, if the Brashard Smith thing could happen, that could be really exciting.
That's what we need, though. We need Brashard Smith to be the guy.
It's fairy tale, man.
I mean, Pacheco was a round 7 pick.
Davis.
Brashard Smith is a better prospect than he
was.
was.
Brashard Smith has one of the things we love to talk about.
He's converted. And he's a kick returner.
And he's a kick returner. He's not just like a kick returner. He's a kick returner.
He's
really good. He's a really good kick returner. He had like 20, when like a big sample, he had over 24 yards average kick return. Like he has a really good shot to be their starting kick returner, and you know what that means.
Worst
active on game days.
Here, worst nightmare.
Nice.
Just actively funnel me to jail. Week 1, Pacheco, Hunt, Mitchell, Steele, and Brashard Smith are on the roster and all active because Steele is
Steele, come on.
He's a core 4 special teamer. He plays on all the units.
We did steal. Steals. How has he not been written off this show? Like, he already had his arc. It was the fans hated it.
It's so, dude, worst arc of all time.
Worst way to deal with the fullback backlash. I can't. Didn't you get the internet backlash was so strong? How have you not written this guy off?
He started a game at running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I lost a bet to Peter Carson Steele versus Cam Akers.
Good Lord. Come on. What are we doing?
I hate this.
Carson Steele is Stannis Baratheon. That is like, I can't explain why, but that is incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
Carson Steele is Mr. Echo. Carson Steele is Mr. Echo from Lost.
Steele was one of the worst touts. Honest to God, he wasn't. He started a game for the Chiefs. What happens after that is in God's
literal.
hands.
It's the literal exact opposite. Carson Steele after should have been
fumble the ball like 100 million times. Then he would have.
We can lead a Steele to water, but we can't make him
Carson
not be a
Steele
fullback.
would have had Kareem Hunt's season if he didn't fumble.
Yeah.
He straight up would have just had Kareem Hunt's season.
He looked like he was gonna hit. It was the game against the Falcons, and he looked like he was gonna totally hit, and then he fumbled immediately against the Chargers, and then it was over. But
it was over.
Yeah, God,
that can happen.
Oh, this is a good question, Davis. You want to take this one?
I can't. Mahomes, by the way, is so in his head. He did his media availability after the draft, and he's already doing this thing. We're gonna throw the ball deep. We're getting back to our roots, and like the dude's gonna come out and be dead last in the NFL in ADOT again. They're gonna try one deep throw in week 1. It's gonna be either an interception or Mahomes is gonna just miss Xavier Worthy, who looks so wide open that he looks like he's doing a punt return fair catch, and it's gonna be over. We're
already getting some Jaylen.
I see Patrick Mahomes like you can't make out what he's saying. You can't hear him, and he's just like it's just a clear overthrow. But he's mad.
He's waddling, and he waddles back to the huddle.
We're already getting some Jaylen Royals
on Thursday night. Like finally, it's Thursday night in Vegas, and someone else is on the TV.
Yeah,
they were on the field yesterday, right? They were one of the teams that already started minicamp.
Yeah,
rookie minicamp.
By the way, can we just acknowledge just the majesty that Davis has pulled off here by getting us to we've removed the slides. We pulled up 2025 Chiefs projections, and we're just talking Chiefs. We should change the podcast to Talking Chiefs.
I'm just watching.
Robert Tonyan is on this team.
Robert Tonyan.
Okay, Shope. You do bring up a point, which is that the Slappies actually can't help themselves with this Jaylen Royals thing. Jaylen Royals is like the definition of Justin Watson's. Jaylen Royals is the Rashee Rices of Jaylen Royals is the Justin Watsons of Rashee Rices. Yeah, that is 100% accurate.
He might be the Justin Watson of Justin Ross's.
Yeah. Oh, he might be.
That's what I think he is.
Yeah. And as Corinne correctly pointed out, Smith is more likely to get the bump for special teams than he is. I don't think Royals returned punts at all. And I think Dave Taub has won his battle with Andy Reid to get to have Nico Remigio active on game days to be a special team. He called Nico Remigio the greatest special teams player he's ever seen, which frankly does feel like a bit of an overstatement.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough Chiefs.
Yeah, enough.
Right,
I don't need to talk about
2025 projections off the. Now, Davis, please have those updated for next week. All right.
We can do the Colts next week. We can do the Colts next week.
Yeah, baby.
I'm really excited to get Shope breaking down the projections to the 9 guys who are active at wide receiver for the Bills on a
it's hell again. It's hell again. Elijah Moore.
Are you guys
Josh
taking
Palmer.
a victory lap? on them signing Elijah Moore? Is that
you can only do so much of that. I mean, it was just so funny. The timing, Monday morning, 8:30 last week, is Brandon Beane on WGR just blasting at people who think the Bills need help at wide receiver. 9:05. There's Elijah Moore, in for a visit.
Yeah. He was really I listened to that clip. He did not handle that gracefully.
He was hot. Then he did every other media possible available to him last week, sort of maybe soft pedaling. I don't know, but is Elijah Moore interesting to you guys at all?
Well, let me ask you. Let me throw this to you, Mike. As it pertains to Keon Coleman, first round pick for the Buffalo Bills last season.
201, but yeah.
Second round pick.
I'm doing a dynasty trade with Michael Leone where I'm attempting to acquire all of his future picks. I have this beyond awful team. I have the 101. Leone is the only person in this league who's willing to give up multiple firsts, multiple seconds, yada, yada. But he's saying, I can't just get the 101. You have to give me something. And I have literally no one on this team. This is the worst. I had 8 players score 100 or more points last season on a 30-man roster. It's as dire as it gets.
Okay.
I have Quinton Johnston, I have Jalen McMillan, I have Xavier Leggett, I have Keon Coleman. Not great, right? He wants Keon Coleman. And I'm like, Mike, I can't give up Keon Coleman. I will give you Leggett, I will give you McMillan, but I cannot give you. He's the only guy with a semblance of upside. So that was my rubber meets the road of, I think those guys are dead. I think Leggett and McMillan are basically dead. But Keon Coleman, at least I can squint and see Keon Coleman breaking out with the Bills. He's the only guy on their roster who does what he does. He's the only big guy. Like, if you think about it,
what were you getting for Keon Coleman?
Basically just to facilitate this trade where I get all of Leone's picks. Like,
I would absolutely include Keon Coleman.
Me too.
I did. I gave him Leggett and McMillan and kept Coleman.
Okay. I'd rather have McMillan, I think, in a vacuum than Coleman.
Really?
Coleman.
I'd rather have Coleman, but it's closer than it should
Coleman, because McMillan's not even going to play, is he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the story about the Evans and Godwin are older, and I think he's not bad. I don't know if Coleman's good at all.
But Coleman could, theoretically, and this is very thin, but he could play his entire rookie contract 80% of the snaps with Josh Allen. Like, theoretically,
but that's
a guy
you can
really
go
want.
get that. You can get that with go get Romeo Dobbs then. You know what I mean? Like that. Literally, he's Romeo Dobbs. Probably.
Oh my god!
I'm serious.
It is so over for Keon Coleman.
It's over.
I don't know what they're going to do.
Robinson's the only reason.
Higher yards per run than Xavier Worthy, guys. Never forget that.
The only reason Coleman has any value,
To be fair, if I can make
Bills won the trade, higher yards per run.
If I can torture this data, he had a 70-yard touchdown where 3 defenders just fell down.
Makes plays. Maybe Xavier Worthy should try that, bro.
I don't know what the ceiling is for Coleman. I mean, I think Moore is
ceiling is the
right
roof,
back to,
but the roof is pretty low, right above your head.
We're right back to last year with the Bills. When they're bringing in MVS and Claypool and just sort of throwing darts. Elijah Moore, by his money, is more than that. But Palmer, that was part of Pat Beane's tirade. Kind of was like, don't tell me I didn't do anything at wide receiver. I brought in Josh Palmer, and read that at Tyler Dunn's website and just try not to laugh.
I've heard he's very similar to T. Higgins on a certain program, so there's that.
The thing with Coleman is that he's like, as a prospect, we had these concerns about can he separate. He's kind of a boom bust prospect because he's an early declare guy. There's some production, but like how the production occurred is fairly concerning. Like maybe he can't separate. And then he gets cast in this like big X receiver role, which, Matt Harmon has written extensively on like why that's actually a terrible fit for him. And he should be kind of like a big slot type where you're trying to like get the ball to in space so he can, because he's not going to generate separation on his own, but maybe he could be interesting after the catch. So he's in like the worst possible role for his skill set. Then it like plays out that like he's not separating. And now he's back in that role again. I mean, he couldn't even really pass Mac Hollins last year. Like the yards per route run's one thing, but like, what about the routes? Like he was straight up in a committee with Mac Hollins for most of last season.
And now Mac Hollins is gone.
Now Mac Hollins is gone. So there's upside for him to consolidate the sacrificial X role. But like, he really has to show, like, this has to be a really impressive jump, which we have gotten. You know, DJ Chark came out of nowhere in his second season and wasn't a really good X receiver in that year. It happens.
We've invoked the name of DJ Chark with Keon Coleman.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think we're betting on something like that. Yeah, Michael Gallup is maybe, you know, you could get the Gallup second season, maybe.
Gallup could have been okay if they didn't trade for Cooper. And
well, he tore his ACL after, I think in his third season, he tore his ACL. So, or maybe
I don't
1,000-yard season with Lamb and Cooper.
Time is getting tight. Yeah. I don't want to take us down a Bills path any too much further, but Davis, you might like looking up their
literally any Bills pass catcher.
Leading receivers per game last year. There might have been 10 or 11 different players. None of them was Kincaid.
Where's the Bills slide, Mike? Are we? Am I missing that one?
Next week. Tune in next week. I didn't bring it.
Where are we at? I'll leave this one. Where are we at? Where's the show?
Where are we at?
Right? That's what you talk about.
Where are we at?
Good question.
Where I'm at is, to me,
this is not my beautiful life. How did I get here?
This can be our last thing, and then we can do our game at the end. I just want this here. I'm just pretending like Etienne and Bigsby are immaterial, and I am just taking Tootin. And it's probably bad, but I don't care.
Yeah, I'm taking Tootin as well.
Me too.
I'm taking Tootin. I take some Etienne. I haven't taken any Bigsby, but Tootin is definitely the
Bigsby. I think is a rough
with Etienne. Right, I think I have with Etienne. I feel like I have two outs. It's like maybe he makes it work on the Jags, or maybe he makes it work somewhere else. Which I guess if he does make it work somewhere else, that's good for Bigsby too. But I've been mostly just clicking Tootin and a little bit of Etienne.
Etienne could have the Leonard Fournette season where he gets cut by the Jaguars and then just immediately becomes a running back one on a different team.
So Etienne, I think, I do think is pretty unlikely to be moved. I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent after the season. He's on he's getting paid $6 million for a backup running back. He's like really good. If Etienne's your backup, that's pretty sick. You're only paying him $6 million. And if he leaves next year, he's going to sign somewhere, and you're going to get a comp pick probably, right? So there's no real reason to trade him. Like this is a team that's looking at this year as like an important year, you know, to hit the ground running. So Brees has 2 years on his deal, right? Or is he a free agent after the year?
He should be one more. He's the same as James Cook. He should be one more.
Because Etienne's playing on the 5th-year option. That's why him and Brees are both 1 year.
Oh, right. Okay. So Brees is also a free agent after the year. So that makes him less likely to get traded as well. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm skeptical either of these guys gets moved. But I still think Etienne's fine where he's going. Because, I mean, for one thing, like you're like, as a contingent bet, he's okay.
Well, the thing is, someone from this backfield, I think. I mean, maybe it's such an ugly split that it's muted, but this backfield is going to have points. It's going to be a good offense. They're probably going to play at a high pace. And we've seen Cohen have last year at times strong value for both Irving and White. So there's going to be value here. It's just, and none of them, Etienne's currently the highest ADP at 120. So
that is a little higher than I would like,
guys. I would just be surprised if none of these guys wind up being really good clicks. And Bigsby is the one that I think is the least interesting, just because he doesn't really catch passes. So I'm willing to bet on one of Etienne or Tootin being a big hit.
You're scoffing at his PFF receiver grade of 4% last year, Bigsby.
Yeah, that's tough.
All right.
He ran well last year.
I don't think he's any good. I think he's like the most like whatever player. People feel strongly about him. I do not.
He was an efficient runner last season. But this is bad. I don't want to deal with the RB3s. Like, you know, like give me I want the RB1 and the RB2 on a depth chart. Taking the RB3s, you get so much downside. There's so much risk of a 0. And then the upside is that you have a handcuff, which I can find elsewhere. There's handcuffs available where you would take Bigsby. So if something changed and Etienne did get traded, then Bigsby I'd be fine with, because I do think he's last year was impressive in terms of the rushing efficiency.
Sure.
And now, last call. Davis running out the door last week threw out the name Oronde Gadsden.
I sure did.
I jumped in with Brashard Smith. Jacob went scrambling for Deontay Johnson, now a Brown, and Pat with Pat Bryant, of course, right? He would pick a Pat. I shouldn't get to go first. I've got 2 names only that I like this week, so I'll see if you guys snipe them both.
I'll jump in and do one. I did a rant yesterday on Best Ball Breakfast about Woody Marks, who I don't like as a prospect, but is one of these clear-cut handcuffs, I think. I mean, maybe he's bad enough to have them trade up for him and still not be able to lock down the number 2 role. But I think he, it's Jaydon Blue-esque in that, he's kind of a passing down back. It's less ambiguous. This is more of a contingent type of bet for any like major upside. But Mixon is, I think, 29. And you've got the team trading up for Marks really does mean something to me. Like this isn't a 5th round pick. This is a guy that looks more locked in for a role, and he's completely free. You can just sit there.
They traded a day 2 pick for a day 3 running back.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They trade away a 3rd round pick to go up and get him. It's I don't know. Yeah. But they like him clearly. You don't do that if you're not going to have him as the
It has to work. So. It has to work.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
All right. I'm prepared to cheat. I'm going to take Tyler Shuck.
Fuck! God damn it.
You got to skate to where the grift is going, not where the grift is
God,
been, Jacob.
Fucking damn it. I was so ready.
That was a great pick.
I had a soul read that was going to be who Jacob wanted. So I will be taking Tyler Shuck as my 5.6 pick.
Jacob, you want to go or I'll go?
Well, I can't now. I got to figure out who the hell I'm picking.
I'll take Terrence Ferguson.
It's pretty. You win style points for that one.
I mean, these rookie drafts are tight end rich in the 3rd round. If you don't end up with Loveland or Warren, man, Arroyo and Fannin and Ferguson are all fun. Mason Taylor, even, they're all fun.
All right. Well, this believe the specifics of this game is it's the week 15 through 17 optimal lineup. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
I don't think we've actually landed on a rule set, but sure.
I think that's what we're doing. Yeah, it's like best
week
ball.
15 through 17. So I was definitely wanted shocked because the quarterback situation is getting dire across the board.
Take one of the Browns.
I don't think that's I'm going. I don't think this guy's clickable in best ball because I don't think he's going to be starting for enough of the season to make
this
it
game.
Worth it.
Every time we do this game, it becomes increasingly less relevant.
I do think he's going to be starting in the money weeks for this particular game. So I will take Mr. Shadur Sanders.
Oh no.
I think that is a totally applicable to this game. I think it's applicable to the people watching as well.
I don't think it is, but it's applicable as a game for sure.
It's what we're doing.
The point of the game, and the game becomes the point in and of itself.
The game becomes the point, right? It's supposed to be identifying last round picks that are good in a fun
When a
way,
measure becomes a target, it ceases to become a good measure.
That's right.
I do expect come December to care about these rosters, and maybe I'll be the only one, but I'll be looking to see
I need to
what actually happened
Shadur
here.
Sanders with Deontay Johnson.
Yes.
Listen, if this is our collective biggest sweat, then this whole cast is gonna be a very fun watch. That's
how did
it won't be mine.
How did we let Jacob get Jack Bash? I mean, what a leg up this guy has here.
That was first pick, bro.
I took LaQuint Allen Jr., dude. What's wrong with me?
I'm pretty happy with my Pat Bryant pick.
In the RJ Harvey
and Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, pretty good.
Oh, the Dart
that's
pick
pretty good.
Great.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what you guys have coming up, and then to tell you what I have coming up.
Swolecast is in 15 minutes. Also have a new video up on my YouTube channel, trying some shorter form, more focused content, talking about the range of outcomes for Jonathan Taylor in 2025. So I would appreciate you watching that. But you guys can hang out with me.
I will make sure to catch that. Colts chasing, let's go.
Don't think you're gonna appreciate my viewpoint, but there's a lot of Daniel Jones talk.
Fine, but I mean, I hope so. Hope we get 17 games.
Oh, that's so dark.
Yeah. Anyway, for me, you get thinking we're done Dynasty content for the time being. I mean, I'll keep updating the ranks, of course. But the rookie stuff is pretty much over. We did a big mailbag. We did the rookie draft walkthrough, all the rookie rankings in several different formats. So now we're kind of be transitioning to best ball season. So I'll have the ranks up. I'll have some articles up, and whatever else people come in and request. But hope you guys have enjoyed all the Dynasty content. If you still have Dynasty rookie drafts, there's just a massive archive of stuff from the last month or so on the site.
So good. Pat?
Got underdog rankings, DraftKings rankings, all the usual stuff. Check out the sidekick at legendaryupside.com/sidekick for your dynamic rankings needs. And yeah, Matt Irby's going to have some articles out on the site very soon, so look for those. We're doing a little long weekend here in Cabo for the next few days, so not too much writing from me this week, but I'll be getting back at it next week.
Are you the Tony Romo or the Jessica Simpson?
What is that? What does that mean?
Remember when they went to Cabo during
before a playoff
week?
game, the week before a playoff game?
What are these roles? Am I the? Am I male or female? What are you asking me?
Are you the one foregoing work to drag your partner?
Are you the one distracting? Who's the distractor and who's the distractee? I suppose.
Yeah.
The Yoko and the John Lennon.
I suppose I'm the Romo. You know.
I remember talking to.
I've got a site to run over here. You know.
One of the Buffalo Sabres at the time about that. He brought up like, what do you think of Tony Romo going on vacation this week? And Bulldog and I are both like, it's fine. It's his right. It's a bye week, no problem. And the player was furious. The player was furious.
How was Tyler not the one who asked that?
Yeah, Tyler, where are you, man?
Did not respect it.
Come on.
In Jacob's honor,
that's a new snap answer, Jessica Simpson.
In Jacob's honor for the Leafs, I've got my Felix Potvin stick.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
Just quickly, I'll mention what am I up to? A great thrill has just come upon me, and that is that while we've been talking, a riding lawnmower has been delivered to my house.
Oh, that's big. That
is so big. I've never had one. But the next thing I'm going to do is go out and unpack it. And
you're then going to have the guy Leone pays to cut his grass come over? Is that the next step?
No, we've moved on. I've got teenagers. We're going to ride around instead. We're going to cut the grass ourselves.
Nice.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next week here on ADP Chasing. Goodbye.
Well, hang on. I got to get the thing up.
Oh, boy.
But theoretically, we will be.
Theoretically, I mean, that was a great outro. The professionalism of Shope is unmatched.
Why did Pete walk in, by the way?
Best ball breakfast.
Because they get the banner off. He couldn't get I couldn't figure out what the banner was. I thought it was in his thing, and so I switched this back, and I'm sure that was wrong.
Live,
and so Pete came in and
we're live.
We're live. Yeah. Okay. Later.